Welcome to part 2 of every Best Animated Feature nominee ranked. If you haven't seen the first part, please watch that first as it explains the rules of the series. This video will still contain massive spoilers for each of the films, so please use the timestamps in the description. From now on, I will be tracking the remaining films from each year at the beginning and end of this video. This idea was inspired by Kerblay's Every 3D Mario Sandbox Ranked, where it tracks which courses are left. I will link the video in the description as it is a really fun video. As you can see, a lot of the years just lost 1 or 2 films. There are also 6 years that haven't lost any films yet. I think the biggest thing so far is how 2018 is already down to 1 film. Yeah, 4 out of the 5 films from that year I already covered in part 1. But I do have a feeling we won't see it die anytime soon. With that out of the way, let's go back to the ranking.
Future is in the past. Onward, Daoshima!
Onward is a film I'm very mixed on. I think the story and themes are really strong, but the characters and world building is where the film falters for me. The emotional hook of Ian being born after his father's death, and then getting the chance to see him for a single day is a great concept. Some scenes really sell this concept, like the scene where Ian meets a stranger who happened to know his father in college. I thought that was a really well done scene showing how his father impacted other people. I do also like the small scenes where Ian bonds with his father's legs. But the main thing that gets me in this film is the bond Ian forms with his brother Barley, and him eventually learning he was more of a father figure than his actual father is a really emotional scene that is really well done. The first time I watched this, I was shocked at the scene where Ian sacrifices his chance of seeing his father and lets his brother see him instead. That was a really impactful scene showing that Ian really cares about his brother. Even though I like the emotional moments with Barley, I don't like him that much, and that is mostly because of Chris Pratt. Listen, I don't hate him, I like him in the Guardians movies, and I have found him funny in a few clips of Parks and Recreations. But I don't think he fits the role of Barley that well. I also find him really annoying and not that funny. If you want to make a conceptually annoying character to work, you need them to be funny so the audience doesn't get annoyed by them. Think Donkey from Shrek, who is annoying to the characters, but funny to the audience. I also find the plot of Ian learning magic to be boring and really formulaic. It really just boils down to a problem that comes up and they find a spell that helps them. I do like the bridge scene though, as it is a moment where Ian gets over his fears. I also like the dragon fight where he learns to utilize all the spells he has learned in a good way. I also don't really care about the world all too much, it's just a real world with fantasy creatures. It isn't all too interesting and you could do so much more with the concept. Like do something like Monsters Inc., Utopia, or even Elemental. Something that accommodates a wide variety of people. 2020 was a solid year of nominees. No glaring snubs, but I would like to replace this film with Earwig and the... Nah, just messing with ya. I'd actually replace it with Lupin the Third the First, because Lupin the Third is epic.
Hans, are we the baddies?
Next up is Box Trolls. It's a pretty fun film. Not great or anything, but definitely has its moments. I really like the design of the Box Trolls world. All the bits of trash just add a lot of detail to their little hideout. I also like that all the Box Trolls names are what the original boxes are for. Like fish, eggs, shoes, etc. Stop motion in this film is good like usual. A scene that sticks out to me is the ballroom scene. The camera movements in this scene are really impressive. I enjoy the box trolls. They are super cute, but unfortunately they aren't in the film that much, which is surprising considering the film is titled Box Trolls. But no, the film mostly focused on the kid, Eggs, and the main villains. Eggs is a fine protagonist. There isn't much special with him. I find him quite generic in all honesty. Same with the girl he meets. The villain, on the other hand, is quite fun, and easily the highlight of this film. He is a pest exterminator played by Ben Kingsley, and his main goal is to enter the high class and eat cheese with them. But he is deathly allergic to cheese, so it is really funny. He also cross-dresses, which is epic. Alongside him, his henchmen are also quite entertaining, and as a trio, they make for really engaging characters. The film's themes are pretty generic. It just shows how propaganda can bury the truth, but it doesn't do it that uniquely to make it stand out. There are a couple other films in this list that do the exact same theme with a little bit more nuance. The post-credit scene is pretty great though. I highly recommend searching it online when you get the chance. I'm gonna replace this film with The Book of Life. I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, and it does look beautiful.
People ask me who are you, so I say my name is Gru. What you see is what you get. Come and meet my pet.
Okay, this film is way too high, and realistically it should be like 7 spots lower. But Despicable Me 2 is one of those films that is just a guilty pleasure for me. I enjoy watching it whenever I get the chance. And I'd honestly pick it over the first film, even if the first is a better film. It's not an amazing film or anything, but I like it. I love Gru. I like his accent, his personality, and his relationship with the girls. Lucy is also a fun character. Her relationship with Gru is cute, and her hallucinations on the plane get me every time. The real star of the show is El Macho. He may be the most macho character in fiction, to be honest. He just exudes so much energy. His backstory is really funny, and he's just an entertaining character to watch. I also love his evil chicken that hates Gru. The minions, surprisingly, aren't that bad. They aren't a nuisance like they are in the other films. I feel like they take a relative backstage in this film, which is nice. My main criticisms about this film are the Gru dating subplot. I feel like it takes up too much time, and it isn't funny nor entertaining. The same applies to the Margot falling in love subplot. It isn't funny, and Gru's a bit of an asshole. I want that nacho hat, though.
That's your most messed up conspiracy theory yet.
I'm not a conspiracy theory, conspiracy truth.
I can't believe Pixar stole from the Sonic movies. Like, come on. Wade Ripple? I think Sega should sue Pixar for this blatant copyright infringement. Elemental was the quintessential Pixar film to be nominated for 2023. It's good. I do have some problems with it, though. Namely, the racism part of the film. So this film is basically the Asian American immigrant experience, and it works fairly well. Not done amazingly, it could have been better, but it works fine enough. My problem is when they try to depict racism. Mainly when the fire dad shows his disdain for water, it just comes off as awkward and cheesy. There are a few good moments that show more subtlety, like when Ember goes to Wade's house and his family make minor racist comments, but the more blatant stuff just comes off as tacky and unrealistic. Just like real racism! Though one problem I had before the film released is the simple fact of making an Element movie with racism themes, because, you know. But when I watch the film, I actually get it. It essentially shows how two seemingly incapable people could still be together despite their differences. Which makes this initial complaint mute, because people may have clashing personalities, cultural backgrounds, religious and political beliefs, and general differing views of the world. But ultimately, those things don't matter as much as their love for each other. And they can overcome any challenges that come their way. I find the plot to be a bit repetitive, like, oh no, Firetown will be flooded. Oh, now it's fixed. Now we'll be flooded again. Nope, it's fixed. Oops, the glass broke. Just come on, it gets really exhausting and feels like an artificial way of moving the plot forward. I also hate Claude, but not as much as I hate Dingo. I hope Louie steals all of his juice. Fairly mixed on Ember's and her father's relationship. It's fine, and I can see a lot of people relating to it, but it just doesn't work for me. Probably because I never experienced that kind of relationship. But it does remind me of Janet and Appa's relationship from the show Kim's Convenience, which is a really funny show. I highly recommend watching it. But whenever I watch these scenes now, I think of that show. Now on to the stuff I like. Wade's and Ember's relationship. I find them really cute with each other, and there's so many little moments I love, like when they see the Vivisteria or Wade shows her his family. The crying game is also really funny, and it pays off in the ending, albeit in a very cheesy way. The film is overall pretty cheesy. Previously, I had problems with the humor, but on numerous rewatches, I start to appreciate the humor a little more. And it reminds me of the dumb jokes that couples often make with each other, or just awkward moments in which they make light of. For example, I wasn't big on the pruning joke, but I realize it's more about the reaction of Ember and Wade rather than the joke itself. The world building is really good, especially how they use the element's unique abilities to solve issues. I would have never thought of the fire people being good at glass making, but it makes perfect sense. Or when Wade uses his body to retract Ember's light to light a candle, that stuff is really cool. The animation is also pretty. How the fire and water people are animated is really good, and there are some truly breathtaking shots. And I like how Ember changes color occasionally. I want more Pixar films to take advantage of the medium of animation like this, instead of making generic blobs. Even though I like this film decently, I'm gonna replace it with Unicorn Wars, which is a splatter war film about teddy bears and unicorns, and it's pretty epic.
I don't look nothing like no damn tow truck.
I have an interesting relationship with the Cars franchise. I used to be very dismissive of it, but as time went by, I started to warm up to the point where I consider myself a fan. I kinda just enjoy these movies. They have a unique charm that really isn't found anywhere else. Let's get the elephant out of the room first. Yes, the Cars universe does not have good world building. It doesn't explain stuff very well, and it just makes you raise questions. I'm not gonna focus on it too much because many people pointed it out already. My other main complaint is that the film is too long. It's longer than The Incredibles, for crying out loud. It's just too poorly paced, and there is a good 15 to 20 minutes that they could have just trimmed off. It would have worked way better. I think Lightning McQueen's arc is pretty good, albeit basic. It's your typical fish out of water story of an egotistical asshole learning to be a better person. It works well. I do think the film's pacing damages it a bit. The side characters in this are fairly hit or miss. Some are pretty boring, like the army car or the van, but some like Sally, Guido, and especially Doc Hudson work really well. Mater is fine. Not amazing, but also not terrible. He works well enough in the story. Can't say the same with Cars 2, in which he becomes a spy car and is somehow the smartest character in the film. God, I love Cars 2 so fucking much. Anyways, I like Sally. I really like her relationship with Lightning. It's really sweet. And I love the scene where they are just on the road together. There's some gorgeous animation in this sequence. Speaking of, the animation in this film holds up really well for its time. My favorite shot is definitely when Radiator Springs turns all neon with Shaboom playing. It just looks really pretty. Though not the best use of Shaboom in a film. That belongs to Clue. The true standout in this film is Doc Hudson. He is such a great character. The fact he is a famous former racer is really interesting, and I loved his backstory. I also really like the scenes where he teaches Lightning how to race on dirt. Definitely the highlight of the film. The ending is great too, where Lightning sacrifices his win to save another racer. He's learned that winning isn't everything, and that helping others is more important. I also find it cool that the villain is the one to actually win. It shows kids that sometimes bad people win, but the more important thing is that you do the right thing, which is an amazing message to tell kids. Chick Hicks is also funny. Kachiga, kachiga. Frozen is a film that is simultaneously overrated and overhated. I don't think it should have gotten as popular as it did, especially when Tangled and Moana are much better films. But Frozen is still a pretty good film that I don't really understand the hate outside of it being everywhere. I like Anna in this. I think the main plot of Anna wanting to be with Elsa when she doesn't understand why she can't be together anymore is a really good and strong emotional hook. No matter how much I dislike Do You Want to Build a Snowman, the story there is great. Her relationship with Kristoff is really good too. They play off each other really well, and she is just likable and funny. Kristoff is also really funny. I love his and Sven's dynamic. It's really entertaining to watch. And Olaf is surprisingly funny. I honestly forgot because he was really annoying in Frozen 2, but in this film, I like him. Elsa is just fine for me. Nothing stands out to me. She's fairly bland. There are a few good moments like her stress with opening up the kingdom, but honestly, she would have worked so much better as the villain like originally intended. I think her being an antagonist would add so much emotional weight to Anna's character, and it's just a missed opportunity. The villain we got? Well, he's not good. His reveal makes zero sense. It wasn't hinted at properly beforehand, and his plan sucks. How did no one question that Anna is dead? Not a single person. Surely someone would have checked. I'm also not huge on the rock trolls. I love their designs, but they aren't that funny, and I don't like Fixer Upper. Apart from that song and Do You Want to Build a Snowman, most of the songs are good. Love as an Open Door is a banger and is the only worth Hans has. Let It Go is iconic. And my favorite song in the film is probably First Time in Forever. I love how it shows Anna and Elsa's different perspectives on the kingdom being open. This film won, and whatever, it's good. There are better options, but I'm not too mad over this one. I'd take it over The Croods and Despicable Me 2, at least.
I see dead people.
Paranorman is a film with a really cool premise, but barely does anything interesting with it. I really like the idea of a kid who can see ghosts, but they don't use it to its fullest potential. It's only really relevant in the first act and the ending. During most of the film, it is rarely brought up outside the characters calling Norman a freak. In the climax, I even forgot he had that ability and was like, oh yeah, he can see and speak to ghosts. It's a real shame, as it's a cool idea and you could have done a lot with it, but I guess I'm fine with zombies though. They are cool too. I do like a lot of this film though. I find the characters pretty fun, especially Mitch, gay icon. The film is also pretty funny. There are so many jokes that made me laugh out loud. There are also some pretty scary imagery. I remember seeing trailers for this as a kid and it freaked me out. The witch is super scary for a kid's film. Speaking of which, I like her inclusion and there is a nice parallel between how she was treated and how Norman was treated. I honestly don't have much else to say. It's definitely a film I like, but there's enough holding it back from it being great.
I'm anger and I'm always angry! I'm fear. I'm disgust.
Inside Out is a film I've always considered good, but not great. I honestly don't get the hype around it. I don't think it's anywhere near the top tier Pixar films. I wanted to even put it in the top 10 of my Pixar ranking. I still think it's pretty good though. The world building in this is so creative. I love how it takes abstract concepts of the mind and puts them in an easy to understand way. It is super cool that memories are treated more like a library of sorts. I also find how they treat stuff like imagination, dreams, and a bunch of other stuff to be really imaginative as well. The movie's main themes are really good too. It teaches kids that sadness is important and you should accept it instead of holding it back like joy does. Feeling sad does suck at times, but that is okay. Joy's arc of accepting sadness and realizing she is just as important as the other emotions is great. I love the scene where they turn a memory from a purely happy one to a mix of joy and sadness, showcasing complex emotions. A severely underlooked aspect of this film is its score. The main theme is so good. It gives off a unique vibe that I cannot really describe. Maybe nostalgia? I don't know, but I love it. This film may be in my top 5 favorite Pixar scores. If not, then absolutely the top 10. Time to add this to the never-ending list of video ideas. My main problem with this film are the characters. I do like joy and sadness. I think it's fun to pair two polar opposites with each other and they get a lot of mileage out of it. Then we have the other 3 emotions. They are fine, pretty funny, but really one note. Which is fine, but it leaves these characters not too interesting. Now on to Riley. I find her really boring. She feels more like a mech than an actual character, which I know is hard to do considering the characters are literally her emotions, but I mean, the sequel does it well. I know that 2 of her emotions are gone, and her core memories are being destroyed, But like, you still should be able to make her a character and still have her feel soulless, right? Now, my most controversial take on the film. I don't care about Bing Bong. I find him annoying and not that interesting as a character, and I genuinely felt nothing when he died. I'm sorry, but it just felt forced. Why should I feel sad about a character I didn't care about? This film won, and it's just a disappointing one. It is still good, but there are 3 other nominees for 2015 that do a lot more and are more deserving of the win.
Turn on the TV to hit the Pentagon!
Turning Red is easily the most overhated Pixar film. I have seen people rank it dead last, and I just don't get it. Worse than The Good Dinosaur? Worse than Lightyear? I get not liking it, but it isn't that bad. As for me, I quite like it a bit, but definitely have some major flaws with it. I don't like May's friends. I find them super annoying and one note. I don't like them at all, and the same applies to Tyler. He's your typical annoying bully character that isn't fun to watch or hate. Also, at the end, he is friends with May for some reason. What the hell happened? She attacked him at his own party. Also, while the big kaiju climax is really fun and entertaining, it makes 0 sense and it is a little over the top and unrealistic. Even for a film about transforming into a red panda. But it's fun, so I can't hate it that much. Okay, now on to the stuff I like. Unlike her friends, I find May to be annoying in a good way. Similar to Mabel in Gravity Falls, where being annoying just gives them more charm. Of course, she isn't as good as Mabel, but she is still pretty entertaining to watch, and I can definitely imagine a 13-year-old acting like this. The film portrays an honest depiction of puberty, which is a very important topic for kids to deal with. I think it handles it well. I like that it both shows real puberty, as well as an abstract version of it with the red panda. I think May's relationship with her mother is strong. It's a great depiction of a loving parent who is also strict. You never hate Ming, despite her being overly protective of her daughter. I think that is a great balance that they nail for this film. I also like the red panda a lot. I genuinely wouldn't mind turning into one. I could probably be really good at basketball. The film's style and animation do let the red panda scenes really pop. The film also has some great exaggerated expressions, though it is truly a shame that Canada does not exist. I will replace this film with Henry Selick's Wendell and Wild. It is a really fun film with great performances and a really cool stop motion style. Highly recommend it. I Lost My Body is a French animated film about a severed hand that comes to life and tries to reunite with its owner, a boy named Nafel. We see flashbacks preceding the events of him losing his hand as he falls in love with a woman. It's a fun premise that's done fairly well, mainly with the severed hand parts. I found them really thrilling and engaging to watch. You know those motion simulator rides that you often find at arcades, where the seat vibrates to whatever is playing on screen? This is what that feels like, especially during the scenes in the train station and the icy river. I love the first person's perspectives in some of these scenes, which adds to the immersion. I also like the scenes where the hand has flashbacks to previous experiences, like the hand sees someone play the piano, and it has a memory of it playing a piano, which I thought was really cool. These scenes were definitely the highlight of the film for me. I'm more mixed on the flashback scenes with Nafel though. Let's start with the positives. I really like the tension these scenes have, since you know he's gonna lose his hand, but you don't know how. It's kind of similar to the Final Destination movies in a way. I also found it interesting that he liked to keep recordings and listen to them, including the recording of his parents' car crash. A lot of the film's main themes are dealing with trauma, as he learns to fight the trauma of his parents' death by recording something over that recording, symbolizing he has moved on from that memory. The thing that doesn't work for me is the romance. I find it really boring and it takes up a large majority of the film. Also, why couldn't he just tell the girl that he is the pizza delivery guy? I would still recommend this film because the hand scenes are great and maybe you would get a lot more out of the romance than I did.
There's always a bigger fish.
The Sea Beast is a cute little film. It is directed by Chris Williams, known for directing Bolt and Big Hero 6. You'd think that would turn me off due to how I feel about these films, but I enjoy this one quite a bit. I think the best way to describe it is that it is the ocean version of How to Train Your Dragon, where a sea monster hunter changes his ways and befriends a sea monster. It's not as good as How to Train Your Dragon, but it does enough to separate itself from it, even though the basic plots are very similar. The opening scene in this film is really good. I enjoyed seeing the ship's crew work together in hunting down sea monsters. You got to see each crew member's personality and strengths, as well as how they interact. It makes me wish the film was more focused on the crew's dynamic, rather than focusing on this kid. The kid is fine, a bit annoying, but serviceable. She does have a decent relationship with the main character, Jacob. Another bit I was disappointed by is Captain Crow. He could have been such a good villain. His motives are there and he has an established relationship with the main character, so there could have been a unique dynamic with that. But unfortunately he became pretty generic without much to him. I just thought he was a wasted opportunity. Something that wasn't a wasted opportunity are the creature designs. Most of them are really cool designs, especially the monster at the beginning. The Red Bluster is also such a cool creature. I love him and the relationship he has with the kid and Jacob. I also really like the idea of living on top of a giant living organism, and this film does show that idea pretty well. This film also handles its themes well, with how propaganda can distort history and convincing society to hunt down something that is basically harmless. It isn't the best I've seen, but it is still good and much better than how Box Trolls did it. I also really like the little blue creature. He is adorable.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it.
I like Rango, but I don't really love it like other people do. But I can totally understand why someone would have this hype. It is a very unique film, all things considered. The animation especially. It's crazy to think this movie is made in 2011, because some scenes are really ahead of its time, because of how detailed they are. It even looks better than some modern Pixar films, for crying out loud. Most of the character designs work for me, but there is one character that just creeps me out. It is this bird with a mustache. I just can't make heads or tails around his design. I don't like that he has a mouth under his beak, especially when the other bird characters don't have this problem. This film also has a certain vibe that is just really hard to explain. It is very surreal, and I like it. It gives this film a unique identity, and a lot of that identity is from the characters. They are all memorable in some way with little quirks and mannerisms. Some standout characters are Beans, the Mole Rat, the Wounded Bird, and of course, Rattlesnake Jake, one of the coolest characters ever. If you tell me that a rattlesnake whose rattle is replaced by a machine gun isn't the coolest thing ever, I would not believe you. He is the definition of cool. He is also really menacing. I do wish he was in the film more, but the scenes we got with him are really awesome. The film also has a really cool banjo cover of Ride of the Valkyries. It turns an already awesome song into a very unique and fun cover that fits the vibe of the film. Unfortunately, I'm not too huge on Rango as a character. I find him bland, I don't really care about his story, and this is largely because I don't really care about Johnny Depp as an actor. I do like the scenes where Rango takes advantage of his acting skills. I find those really fun. And surprisingly, the Liar reveal isn't that bad, because it is believable that everyone would feel betrayed here, plus it has Rattlesnake Jake, so it is automatically an awesome scene. I do like the scene with the Spirit of the West. That was pretty interesting. But I don't know, for the most part, Rango was just kinda whatever to me. Another thing I didn't care for was the humor. It was mostly gross out humor, and none of the jokes really landed. I think the only joke that even worked for me is when the bird was trying to get Rango out of the vending machine. Vending machine jokes are funny. Out of all the winners, this is definitely the most unique, so while there's films I'd rather choose, it is nice to see something that isn't Disney or Pixar to win for once.
How do you like that, Obama? I pissed on the moon, you idiot!
Okay, Over the Moon might be a little high because I have a mythology bias, but let me have this. So Over the Moon is about a young girl named Fei Fei who has lost her mother, so she builds a rocket ship to the moon and meets the moon goddess Chang'e. In Chinese mythology, Chang'e was a woman who fell in love with an archer named Hao Yi. They were both given an elixir of immortality, but before both could drink, Yu's apprentice Feng Meng breaks into their house asking for elixir. Chang'e then drinks both of the potions and ascends to become a moon goddess while her lover is stuck on Earth. I think the film adapted her really well. I think connecting her mourning of the loss of her husband to Fei Fei's mourning the loss of her mother was really well done. I love how they become connected through their experiences of loss, and it's a great emotional hook. I'm more mixed on her becoming a pop singer on the moon. That is certainly a decision. Fei Fei is also a good character. I already mentioned the loss of her mother, but she is also dealing with getting a stepbrother and learning to accept him. I like this plot point, and Shin as a character is likable. He genuinely cares for Fei Fei even though she isn't showing the same back. And I like the scenes where she learns to appreciate him. He also has a rap battle with Chang'e, so that's funny. There's a green armadillo dog creature whose name I forgot. I hate him. He is really annoying and felt unnecessary, especially when we already have a much more likable, annoying sidekick. I just want to strangle this green thing. I also found the music to be underwhelming. They all felt a bit generic and boring. They're trying so hard to emulate the magic of most Disney songs, but failed to create that spark. The only song that stood out to me is the aforementioned rap battle, and while entertaining, the song has really bad lyrics. I wish the songs did a lot more. I do like the animation, especially design of the moon world. It is very vibrant and colorful, with really striking visuals. Also, this film has the bunnies.
Hey guys, I made an anxiety joke! Wow, that is relatable!
We are at our most recent batch of nominees with the 2024 nominees. The first of them is Inside Out 2. It's good! I like it a little more than the first film, but it is still lacking in some areas. Firstly, Riley actually feels like a character instead of a robot. Congratulations! Crazy that adding beliefs in self will make her seem more like a person. Yeah, I really like the portrayal of beliefs in self in this film. It is a natural step to take and it fits perfectly within the world and is just creative. I do think this film is not as funny as the first film. I did not laugh nearly as much this time. There is a few jokes I like, such as the PS2 hero guy that Disgust has a crush on, or Fear saying he can change anxiety, and of course, Bloofy and Pouchy, my beloved. But apart from those, most of the jokes don't really land for me. Now onto the emotions. With the exception of joy and anxiety, they all felt one note and relatively boring. The returning characters, despite being on the main adventure this time, are still uninteresting. Sometimes even getting annoying at points. The new emotions don't fare any better. Envy is fine, I guess. Ennui does fuck all. And they were going for something interesting with embarrassment when he helps out Sadness, but he still felt underwhelming. Joy and anxiety, on the other hand, I think are great. Let's start with Joy. She cares for Riley, but a little too much that she starts controlling what memories she keeps or not, by dumping them at the back of her mind. It is only after she reaches there is when she realizes what she had done, and ultimately what she thought she was doing right was instead harming Riley in the long run. Sure, those memories may hurt or are embarrassing, but they are also vital that you just can't suppress. Anxiety was also handled well. I do suffer from anxiety, and a lot of the things shown are accurate. The fear of being perfect and wanting to be accepted is real and can be harmful. In the film, Riley, wanting to impress the hockey coach and her friends, she abandons who she is, ditching her old friends and sneaking into the coach's office. This all culminates to the panic attack scene that Riley has at the end. The visual representation of it being a storm makes sense. It overwhelms your mind, and you struggle to think coherent thoughts. Anxiety is important, but it can overtake your mind just like she did to Riley. I definitely relate to this film a lot because of this. Also, she is literally George Orwell 1984. Despite how solid the 2024 lineup is, there is a film I think not only should have been nominated, but also should have won. I'm talking about Look Back. This movie devastated me. I'm not as mad at its snub like I am with Paprika, but it still does suck that it wasn't nominated, even if the other nominees are great. And I know someone will point this out, but while I enjoy Transformers 1, I don't think it can replace any of the films as they are just too strong. 2024 was a stacked year of animated films. Still, Transformers 1 is good, it's just, there's a lot better.
Oh my god, she's dead.
Typically, I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan. His style never interested me, and I don't like him as a person. But his two films that were nominated for this category surprised me, as I enjoyed them quite a bit. The first of these two being Corpse Bride. Firstly, let's talk about the animation. It's really good. I especially love the use of colors in this. The surface world is portrayed as more dark, drab, dreary, with blue and gray colors, but the colors of the underworld are more vibrant and colorful, with greens, purples, and browns. I just love this contrast. The character designs are also really cool, especially with the villain and Emily. Speaking of Emily, I really like her as a character. She is charming and has lots of personality, unlike the main protagonist, Victor. I've already stated I don't really like Johnny Depp, and this is no different. I don't know, he is fine, but nothing special. He does have decent chemistry with Emily, though. I understand from a story perspective why he went with Victoria, but I wish they stayed together. Better yet, they should have been a throuple. Better yet, Victoria and Emily should have just ditched Victor and then married each other. The villain is alright, he's evil, who cares? But I do like the twist that he was originally wed to Emily. I genuinely did not expect that happening, but there were proper hints to it. The songs are also really good. I enjoy them a lot and sometimes listen to them occasionally. Especially Remains of the Day. It's super catchy and has some great visuals. 2005 is one of the few years where I agree with all the nominees. They really nailed it with this one, and there's not a single film I would replace.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
The Princess and the Frog is the last 2D animated Disney film, not counting Winnie the Pooh 2011. And it's a shame because this film looks amazing. There are 3D Disney films that I like more, but I would have vastly preferred them 2D animated. But yeah, this film looks amazing. There's so much detail, very fluid animation, the swamps look lived in, the colors pop. It is easily in my top 5 best looking Disney films. The others being Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, and Fantasia. Unfortunately, this film doesn't quite make it among my favorite Disney films overall, mainly because it nosedives near the middle. The first act is so good. You get to see Tiana's main motivation and you want her to succeed. You are also introduced to the main villain, Dr. Facilier, and also Prince Naveen, and get invested in these characters. And then Tiana turns into a frog. What did she do to deserve this? Naveen was obvious. He was greedy, but Tiana? I don't know, but the film becomes less interesting with a lot of dumb meanderings in the swamp. This doesn't mean that the entire middle chunk sucks. There's a lot I like. It does establish Tiana and Naveen's relationship really well, and there are characters I really like, such as the Firefly Ray, and of course, Luis. I love the idea of a crocodile who just wants to become a jazz musician. I wish he was real. Dr. Facilier is a great villain. His vibe is perfect, and he's also voiced by Keith David, my beloved. I love the scene where he tempts Tiana with her dream restaurant. I also love his dynamic with his friends on the other side, how someone this threatening fears something greater. His villain song is so good too. The songs in this film are really hit or miss. Friends on the Other Side and Almost There are great songs with amazing visuals. I do also like My Belle Evangeline, but the rest of them are just okay. Nothing special. They aren't bad, but they aren't memorable either. 2009 is often considered the best year for animated movies, and this batch of nominees really show it. It is among the best batch of nominees in the entire category, but the crazy part is you can replace every single film and still have one of the best batch of nominees. Those films being Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, 9, A Town Called Panic, Ponyo, and the film I'm replacing this film with, Mary and Max. What an insane year. We are now entering A tier, films that are really good. Yeah, we are already at the stuff I really like now, and we aren't even halfway done. Oh god. Kung Fu Panda 2 is nowhere near as good as the first film, but it is still pretty good. The thing that really stands out is the relationship between Po and the villain Lord Shen. The film hinges on Po finding his true heritage and where he came from. I appreciate how we sort of know what happened from the opening. We can assume Shen killed his parents, so we are more focused on the characters piecing it together, which I think makes it more engaging. The scene where Po confronts Mr. Ping about his heritage is really good, with how calmly Po accepts that he is adopted and how Ping tells his story. It makes the scene really special. Now on to Lord Shen. He is a genuinely terrifying villain, and among the best out of DreamWorks' entire library. The fact in the very opening he commits panda genocide solidifies him as a real threat. The scene where he effortlessly beats seasoned kung fu masters, not with kung fu, but with weapons like guns, make it even more apparent. How the hell are these heroes supposed to beat this threat? The scene where Po learns about what happened to his parents is heartbreaking, and it features some beautiful 2D animation, and when he achieves inner peace is breathtaking. These scenes alone are why this film ranks this high, because unfortunately, almost everything else is just okay. The humor isn't great. There are some good jokes, but most of them don't land like they do in the first film. I find the Furious 5 to be boring and uninteresting, which is a shame because my biggest complaint from the first film is how underutilized they were, but in this film, they just aren't fun to watch. The action is good, but nowhere near the highs of the first, and the pacing is a bit off. But just the Po and Shen stuff more than make up for it.
I hate all the orphans in the whole world!
My Life as a Courgette, or My Life as a Zucchini, is a film by Swiss director Claude Barras. It is about a kid named Icar, who prefers to be named Courgette, accidentally killing his mother and then being sent to an orphanage. As dark as its premise is, the film is actually really sweet. It is more about Courgette getting along with the other kids at the orphanage rather than the tragedy. The kids also have equally dark and hilarious backstories, but none of them really focus on it. It's just a really simple film. I love how the kids interact and look out for each other. This is among the shortest films ever nominated for the category, with it only being 65 minutes long, so there really isn't much to talk about. It's definitely a film more worth experiencing than being explained. I don't have any major flaws with it, but nothing truly stands out either, so it stays around the bottom of A tier for me. 2016 is easily the most consistent year of nominees. All of them are good and fairly close to each other. With that being said, there is still a notable snub this year with Your Name. This is actually the final film on the list where I'd replaced it with a different film. All the films above, I agree with their nomination. This isn't to say I don't like this nomination, as it is deserved. Maybe Your Name could replace Kubo into Two Strings instead. Speaking of... Kubo and the Two Strings is a really solid film despite its major flaws. So this film is a hero's journey story, which is a double-edged sword because it is a solid basis for a story, but in turn it makes it very basic and predictable. But none of that really affects my rating. Like, sure, I can predict almost every twist, but that doesn't mean it isn't presented well, because it is. Even though I knew almost everything from the beginning, twists still mostly worked. Like, I knew the monkey was Kubo's mother, but the reveal worked for me. My biggest problem with the film is the samurai beetle. I find him super annoying. It's the only twist that doesn't really work for me because they play it up so much. He has horrible comedic moments. It's a shame I don't like him because he has a really interesting backstory. I do tend to like amnesia stories about characters finding who they were, but they don't play it too much, unfortunately. I think the Beetle should have been played by Patrick Warburton rather than Matthew McConaughey. Now let's talk about the villains. Kubo's aunts are very cool, they have great designs, they are scary and menacing threats. Every time they appear you feel hopeless, and the action scenes with them are pretty neat. The Moon King, on the other hand, is fairly weak. I do like the design of his dragon form, it's scary and beautiful at the same time, and the battle is cool. But I don't care about his character, and his defeat is laughable. He is literally defeated with the power of love. It was funny when an entire village started gaslighting an old man with amnesia, though. One thing I love about this film is its mythology. It isn't directly based on any real-world myth, but it definitely feels like it is. You could tell me it was, and I would believe you. I also love the magic powers this film introduces, mainly with Kubo. Kubo has the power of controlling paper or paper-like objects with the power of music, and allows him to create stuff like a boat. It is super unique that I haven't really seen done before. The stop motion is also amazing. There's beautiful action and set pieces, but one scene stands out the most, being the skeleton battle. You get a true sense of scale with the gigantic skeleton. It makes the fight very thrilling. What makes it more impressive is that the skeleton is the world's largest stop-motion puppet, with it being 16 feet tall and weighing about 4,000 pounds. I have major respects for the animators in this film, as that must have taken months to animate.
Done. Now let's see how it looks so far.
Before I start talking about The Secret of Kells, there is one thing I want to talk about first. JA Productions brought this to my attention in his review, but this is still worth mentioning. The character of Brother Asua has kind of a worrying design. I checked and there seems to be no folklore or historical reasons behind it either, which makes it even more questionable. This does not ruin the film for me, but it is still worth pointing out. Anyways, The Secret of Kells is the first of the Cartoon Saloon Irish folklore trilogy, all of which take inspirations from real-life Celtic folklore. The Secret of Kells focuses on the making of the real-world Book of Kells, which is a masterclass of calligraphy, one of the most beautiful-looking scriptures ever made. The film's art style heavily takes from this book, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I could not take my eyes off the screen. It is one of the most beautifully animated films I've ever seen. There's some incredible detail. The shadows of the characters portray their emotions. The fight with the giant sea serpent is breathtaking. I love its rectangular design. The character designs in general are really good, especially the Abbot and the Vikings. And oh my god, the ending sequence is so good. That being said, it does kind of distract from the plot and characters, like I was too focused on the visuals to even register what was even going on. I hate to put it against the film, but I could not be focused on the plot. What is there is fine though. I do like the girl the main boy meets, even though her personality is done way better in Wolfwalkers, but whatever. The Elder is also a pretty fun character. Overall, the animation is the main reason this film is as high as it is, but it's still worth watching just for that. This concludes part 2 of every Best Animated Feature nominee ranked. Thank you again for watching. Anyways, here are the remaining films. A lot of years are now down to 2 or 3 films. 2006 joins 2018 in the 1 film remaining club, and 2021, 2023, and 2024 are currently in the lead with 4 films each. Part 3 is when things start to get really fun, as they are films I really like. But I am taking a short break to work on a Muppet movie song ranking. But once I'm done with that, I will go straight to working on part 3. Also, here's a funny behind-the-scenes blooper with my cat Trouble. Hey, I want to edit. Trouble. Oh, okay. I want to edit Trouble.